3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello, hello, hello.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear us? Okay, I saw the sign said MacBook Pro unmuted, but I thought
Okay,
it said
great.
muted. But yeah,
Okay, cool. Good afternoon. Happy Sabbath. Happy Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving.
belated Thanksgiving, right? It's late, but y'all still
It's
eating.
still it's still Thanksgiving.
Y'all still eating that food.
Yep, it's still Thanksgiving. Every day is Thanksgiving.
I
There's
hope you
always an opportunity to give thanks
and
to God.
I hope you had a good Thanksgiving and that you celebrated it with family and friends.
Amen. Indeed. Go ahead and shout. We want to shout you guys out as our custom to know who's watching. So go ahead and put your hey, what's up, so that we can go ahead and shout you out. But how was your Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful. It was small. It was intimate. My homie from childhood, Theo, came through with his wife and my niece Asher, Golda. We were just kept it small and intimate, and it was lovely.
Indeed, it was. What
Adriana
up, Adriana?
Rashana.
You gotta come a little bit quicker with the horns. You know
All
what I mean?
right.
Because
Well,
I feel like you leaving me like.
I don't want to cut you off while you're talking. That's why I don't do it all immediately. But
Well,
I'll
I
come
guess
quicker.
once you say, "Hey, Adriana," it should automatically go off.
All right, I got you.
Right?
I got
So
you.
it's like no delay or pause.
Hey,
Anyway.
Adriana.
Oh.
Coco.
Okay.
There you having some hot cocoa. Where you at? You on the East Coast, West Coast,
What other
Midwest,
coast?
Midwest, South, North? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
Okay, so yeah, you were talking. So our Thanksgiving was, chill. Nothing much, nothing to it. Just grateful for life and health and strength and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And there was a lot to it. I think just having friends and family there.
yeah,
That's like the most important part. So
yeah,
yeah, I think Golda read a meme and I was like, man, that's so appropriate because we don't when we have Thanksgiving, we don't acknowledge no pilgrims, no Quakers, and all that other stuff. We just acknowledge family getting together
amen.
and being grateful for each other. Because
Hmm.
the conversation I was having at the guy at the store, I was like, man, I'm just having dinner with my friends.
Yeah,
I ain't into that whole
Indians and
history of the birth
pilgrims
of
and
Thanksgiving, which
right,
is trifling in its first place. But
right,
nothing but love.
very violent, but um, what?
Nicole said, Jamie, it's Nicole. All right, my bad. Shout out to Nicole for telling me Jamie is Nicole.
My gosh.
My bad. What's up, Nicole? Oh, Dirty South.
Yes, Adriana, that's where she is. Dirty South. Is that
Southwest Louisiana. That's what I'm assuming. That's what the SWLA
Wow,
is
you're
for.
that close to us. I didn't know you're that close to us.
Yeah.
Okay, Adriana. We have not been ever, we haven't been that way since we've been in Texas.
Yeah,
We need to though.
We drove through Louisiana, but
Yeah,
we
but
haven't
not like
stayed in
stay.
Louisiana.
Yeah. So, the fam Dorian.
I saw it. I could do it just as good too.
Okay.
The fam Dorian.
I did it already though. Yeah, Southwest Louisiana, only 5 hours from you. Word.
Yo, we gotta look you
Girl.
up. Are you close to Shreveport?
Yeah, I'm sure she is. Um, I'm sure she is. But anyway, yeah. So Thanksgiving, how was you guys Thanksgiving? I want to say y'all's, but I'm not from Texas.
You are. You just did it. You're
I'm
from
in
Texas.
Texas, but I'm not I am not a Texan. Okay. But Texans always say y'all. What up, y'all? How's y'all's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird.
It's very interesting, but
It's super
it is what
weird.
it is. It is what it is. But Thanksgiving was great. Anything else happened? Black Friday happening is actually happening right now. Oh my gosh, made 5. They're almost done, girl.
Dang.
Oh
That's
my
what's
gosh,
up.
Renee, what up? How are you doing, girl? Wow, 5 pies. What were they? Were they apple? Or were they all the same pies?
Sweet potato pie,
Yeah, like what kind of pies were they? I'm like mad hungry over here.
apple pie. What other pies are there out there?
Um, they have what's the thing with the peaches? Peach
Pecan pie.
cobbler,
No, if it's
pecan.
peach cobbler. Cobbler's
Well,
not.
that's a cobbler.
Pecan pie. Pecan. I say pecan because I'm from New York. Pecan. They say pecan out here. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
It's
don't think there
pecan
should
to
be
me.
any other pies. Cherry pies, I'm not sure who. I don't think I've met anyone that's like, yo, I want some cherry pies.
1 apple, 4 sweet potato pie.
Okay,
So here's the
okay.
thing, right? They say black folk don't eat pumpkin pie. We eat sweet potato pie.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've ever had a sweet potato pie. I feel like I may have had one in my life, but I don't know if I've ever had. I can't
So you've
remember.
only had pumpkin pie?
I don't think I've ever had pumpkin pie because I don't really rock with pumpkin like that, except if it's Gold's pumpkin pancakes and Alfredo Blue's pumpkin bread.
For real.
That's about it.
But pumpkin pie is good. It's good when it's made right with the right enough of I'm about to say seasoning, but right enough of spices. That joint is mad good.
Mad
So
good.
I'm
Super
sure
good. Very good.
very super good, very good.
Mhm.
Dorian said Thanksgiving was very low key for the Stewarts. That's
Oh,
what's up.
that's what's up.
I love low key.
Yo, it got to be low key because we still in a pandemic.
Facts. And as a matter of fact, we learned at the end of last week that we are now expecting to have, I'm sure it's going to make its way down here in America, but the new variant that is coming,
Yeah.
that is out. And
Which is
so that
which
variant,
is more potent.
and they said, a friend of ours we were talking last night. What did he say? He said
It's like I don't know the strain.
the is it the strains or the what do they call it? Gosh, it's like it's morphing.
Yeah.
It's strands. I think it was 30
Yeah,
strands or something like that. Strains that with the new variant. So it's like they're not sure how that variant is going, like what it's going to do with the vaccinations that we have now. It's like how many boosters do you need to have in order to fight this thing? But my gosh, it's some crazy stuff happening.
Protect yourself. Treat everybody like they have it. Oh, Martine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, we're sorry about your
Sending hearts
yeah.
and love to you
Man.
via oh my gosh,
via
this
internet,
video,
via
but
Facebook, via everything. Our heart goes out to you. I can't imagine how difficult that
yeah,
is.
so sorry. Our
Yeah.
condolences and
Super.
prayers, we're sending our prayers to you and your family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that's rough. That's rough. Thank you, Camille. What up, Camille?
Camille Hutchinson.
Yes, variant. But yeah, so that's something else, right? That we have to. I won't say
Yeah,
worry,
I
right?
feel like this is the world that we're gonna be in from now on,
This is
right?
our reality.
That it's going to be various variants of this COVID-19, and that it's just something we're gonna be dealing with for the rest of our lives. It may eventually become like where it's something commonplace, where it's like, oh, you caught COVID, like the flu or something like that. But I just feel like this thing is going to be with us forever. I don't see it like ever going away.
I see it
Well, I
going
don't think
away,
it's
but not anytime soon.
anytime soon. Well, I think it's always going to, the virus will always be
Yeah,
there.
yeah. But I'm
right?
talking about I
So,
don't know,
like, the worry, the fear of it. You kind of see it fading too, because you turn on TV and if you watch
They're
any
not
sporting
talking
event,
about.
yeah,
Oh,
well, they're not talking about it, and then you know that people at these sporting events have it, and everybody. So I think everybody's at that place where it's kind of like whatever. If I catch it, I catch it.
I think we're tired of it too, right?
Yeah.
Tired of the people are what are they like fatigued,
Yeah.
right? COVID fatigue, where you're just like come on.
Yeah, I'm done.
Like, can we, you know, I at this point in time, I don't even know what normal feels like. Like I'll look back at pictures, videos of us in like 3 years ago, and it's just like, oh, what freedom. You know what I mean? The freedom to
Right.
just kind of walk outside. I mean, some people are doing it where they are walking outside without masks. They're kind of like living life like whatever, but I guess you can still live like that, but everyone else, like seeing people in masks, like back in the day when you used to see people with masks, used to be like people from coming from some
You thought they were
China
China?
or
They had SARS, but China was like, "Yo, we already know what time it is."
exactly. So it's just unfortunate, honestly, in so many ways. But thank God we are a little bit better than we were last year. In that last year we didn't spend Thanksgiving with family or friends. Like it was just kind of just us for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And so this was the first time we actually had our family come, friends come and spend time with us in Thanksgiving. So it's a little better, a little better, but it is what it is. It is what it
It
is.
is what it is.
Okay.
That's a sing.
Okay. So essentially today's what up, Sister Morgan? Thanks for joining us as usual. So we're not gonna come on and stay on for long because
Yo, that Christmas
yes,
tree
our Christmas tree is up, darling. You hear me? I wish I could
is.
give you guys like a tour of what our space looks
You
like.
could go on IG.
Yeah, go on IG. I'll probably do like a story or two with our Christmas decor. I can't take all the credit. Real talk. I could sit here and take all the credit, but I have a phenomenal friend, sister.
I would say you could get a credit to me.
No, it's not you. I have an incredible sister friend who is an interior decorator designer, um, and she just kind of just sprinkled her amazing eye to just kind of create this winter wonderland here in our space. I'm not, you know, like I don't know. You know, like how some people are really good at decorating? Yeah, that's not me. I
That's
can.
me. I'm very good at it. I just choose not to do it
Yeah,
because
what are
I
you
don't want
talking
people
about
to
right
see
now?
my skills.
Okay. Um, so I feel like I dress better than I decorate, right? I feel like I can be a great decorator, but it just takes a little bit more energy, a little bit more from me. It doesn't come quite naturally. So it's like I have to sit there and I have to kind of, kind of try to figure out like, okay, um, does this work? Doesn't this work? Doesn't that work? Or whatever. But she is just like she can dress and she can decorate. So some people have it blessed. Some people are blessed that way. I'm just not. But I can appreciate good things when I see,
Absolutely.
right? And so she came and she did the tree because I'm not like a big. I'm not into Christmas. I'm into Christmas because of the kids, but she's really helped me to see that Christmas is something to be joyful and happy about.
Yeah. Are y'all into Christmas? Who is into Christmas? Who goes all out? Who does the whole tree lighting and all of that other stuff? Up to me, man, I just throw the gifts in the
Wow.
middle of the living room floor
He's not
and,
lying, y'all.
and put everybody's
He
name on
is
there
not
and be
lying.
like, yo,
Jamie Calasar is not lying.
that's what it's
That is
about.
him.
That's what Christmas is for.
He would literally just do that. But I the kids love it. I do it for them. They're my motivation. So they are loving this space right now.
Man, Camille didn't waste no time. Me,
Okay.
Nicole, I love it. Cheryl, I
See,
do
I
it for
do
the
it for the
kids.
kids.
The girls love decorating. Uh-oh. The two said, Sister Green, me 100%.
100%. See,
Man,
some. Hey Tara, she
that's
says, "Hi guys, I haven't put up a tree in 4 years." You know what? I understand.
Tara, I received that.
I understand. Inside and
And
outside now,
outside,
yo.
man, Sister Morgan, you are the MVP.
For
You
real.
are the MVP.
I can't like for me it's like one or the other, right? I mean, we were trying to get lights on there, but it's just like it's work.
It's work. It's work. It's work. It's work. It's work. And it's for the kids. I think most people. I don't know who does it. Any adult who does it for themselves. I'm sure there are adults that do it for themselves, but for us, we do it for the kids. I don't know because before we had the girls, we didn't put up a tree,
We
right?
did.
We
Our
did.
first year getting married, we put up a tree.
Yeah, we did.
The second year, it's a little fuzzy, and then after that, the
Yeah.
kids came after year 2. But I just remember I always wanted them to experience Christmas differently than I did. So it's for them. But this year is where you see Christmas in every part of our space, like every part.
Dorian going in. I love Christmas and the Hallmark movies that go with it. Oh, what was that movie we watched? Princess Swap or something like that.
Yeah, 3. Princess Swap 3.
Winter Wonderland,
Wonderland.
Wonderland. At my house, me and my kids are grown. Have mercy.
That's awesome though. Christmas is special. Like it's special. Yes, it's
the
commercialized and
most
yes and
wonderful
whatever.
time.
But I think when you strip it of those things, like it's just a really happy moment. Um, it's a really happy
Christmas
time.
falls on a Sabbath this year.
Yeah, I don't like when it falls on a Saturday, but it
I'd
is what it
prefer a
is.
Sabbath morning than a Sabbath evening.
What do you mean?
I don't know because I think like as a child, you got all these gifts on Friday. You open up in the morning, and you had to put them away in the evening
What?
because you couldn't play with the toys on Friday evening.
Oh, you're saying like Sabbath morning, excuse me,
Yeah.
Friday morning you open up the gifts and then
Yeah.
you had to put it away. Yeah, Christmas on a Sabbath is one of those things, right? Because you're gonna let the kids wait until the end of the Sabbath to open presents.
Yeah.
That's a little rough.
But at least it's winter time, so the sun sets at like 4:30 in the East Coast.
Yeah.
You take them to church and keep them there all day. They already know that. Keep them there. Take them to church, keep them there
You
all
think they
day.
sitting there gonna be sitting in church one, and you think their mind is not gonna be on what's under that tree?
You think kids' minds are engaged in church?
I mean,
Period.
no, no, but I feel like it's even worse on Christmas because it's like, yo, I can't open my present. But honestly, we open presents on for their birthdays.
On the Sabbath?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like, no, you can't do that because I believe the gift of the Sabbath is a gift every day. But anyhow, nevertheless, I'm talking about me as a child growing up. That Sabbath was way we observed Sabbath was much more stringent than how
Oh
we
yeah.
observe
Absolutely.
Sabbath as adults.
Absolutely. Facts.
Oh, here we go. Donnell.
It said one gift in the AM and the rest and a big party after.
Okay.
I
All
can
right,
see
Sister
that.
Green.
I see that. Sister Morgan says, for me, falling on the Sabbath is okay because my kids and grands wasn't taught Santa and reindeer or Frosty. Facts.
Facts.
We ain't doing all that here.
Yeah, did
We ain't
anybody
doing no
here
elf on the shelf.
Did anybody here grow up believing in Santa? I know that stuff was immediately ain't no such thing as Santa.
Yeah, we nipped that in the bud. Once Caitlin and Amber were old enough, we nipped that in the bud quickly.
Yeah.
Like we were just like, there's no Santa. You gonna hear about him, but he's not real.
That's right. I was like, take the N and put it at the end of his name.
Oh my
Then
gosh.
you know who it is.
Oh my gosh. Wow. But yeah, real talk. We don't do Santa here, and they know. I don't even think we've ever like taken them to get pictures on Santa's lap.
I ain't have my daughter sit on no man lap.
Yeah. That yeah.
They gonna stand up next to him.
Yeah, we've never done that. I mean, some people do, which is fine for you and your household, whatever. But for us, I just never really. I feel like we could take Christmas pictures without him.
Yeah.
But to each his own, right? I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I feel like it's traditional too. I mean, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't even know a lot of I don't think I know any black person who grew up believing in Santa. And
Nah,
maybe
there's
that's because most of my friends were Seventh-day Adventists.
Right.
But
There's some people out there who
Be-
believe Santa, the black kids that believe
Because my friends didn't grow up in the house. You ain't got no chimney in the projects.
That's true.
I didn't even have a chimney in my house.
Yeah, I didn't have a chimney either.
So where was he coming through? If Santa broke into my house at night, he get beat up.
Oh my gosh. You get jumped.
He get jumped. Everybody be jumping him. he ain't stopping my zip code. He
Oh
kept
my
flying.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
He
He
had-
definitely stopped at your Canarsie zip code. East New York, he flew over. East New York, he was like, nah,
Yeah,
not today.
I think my zip code. He thought about it. He was like, I'll go to Mill Basin.
Oh my gosh. What up, Saba? Porn. You're supposed to put your finger on there. Dorian says, facts. No chimney in NYC.
That's right.
Oh, I knew we lived in the projects with fire coming out the chimney. For real? Okay. My husband said he works too hard to give a white man credit for presents.
Exactly.
Facts.
Exactly.
Facts.
The projects had one chimney. It had one big old chimney for everybody.
Yo,
that smoke be coming out the
Renee
top.
said I sat on a black Santa's lap when I was 5. He had ashy knees.
That makes
oh my
sense.
gosh.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, yeah, I'm good with that with regard to that. But yeah, I'm excited that Christmas decorations are already up. I don't have to think about it, worry about it. Just basically need to have the gifts put under the tree, and that's it. Saba says, I agree. Only black Santas in my house.
Mm-hmm.
For real. We once went to a member invited us to, I guess, her friend's house.
Oh, snap.
And she she collected black Santas. I've never actually laid eyes on a black Santa before, but she had to have had maybe like over 100 black Santas, big, tall. I mean, like life size. It was crazy.
I felt like 100 is generous. Like,
yeah,
she
that's
had
true.
rooms and different rooms.
With a black Santa. Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see her collection. As I said, I don't see a lot of black Santas anywhere. She had like over 100 of them.
Yeah.
Which was so cool because the girls were so enamored. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know he was black. Well, he doesn't exist, but if he's gonna exist, right, let him be black.
Yeah. Black Santa in the hood was coming to steal your gifts. If he broke
Santa
into your
ain't
house.
leaving his sleigh in Brooklyn, aka Crooklyn. Not even black Santa for me. I work too hard for them gifts.
You ain't lying.
Y'all gonna know today. It's not no Santa. It's me. I'm the one that have worked my butt off to get y'all them presents.
Black Santa in the hood, he got a bag, the red bag, but he coming to take your gifts.
Oh my gosh. Yo, you remember, oh man, I'm gonna go off topic, but you remember she bought all the black Santas. That's why we never saw them. Facts.
That's right. Black Santa live in Texas.
It's like, yo, like I've not seen one, and this lady has her entire house filled with Santas, just beautifully arranged. It was really nice to see, though.
Yeah, it was nice and kind of scary too.
Okay. Okay. I can't with you. But yeah. So really question before we move on, do you guys put the presents under the tree like leading up to Christmas, or do you put the gifts under the tree the night before Christmas, like Christmas Eve?
We do it leading up, right?
Nah.
We do it the night before.
We do it the night before.
Because we don't want to torture the kids.
Yeah, like we literally have them hidden in different spots in the house. And then when they go to sleep, Christmas Eve, that's when Jamie and I are up at midnight wrapping presents, trying to get them together.
Because I don't know how to wrap gifts.
Yeah, you're right. You haven't. You still need work in that regard.
I'm good.
So Dorian said the night before. She wraps them the night before. I mean, she puts them the night before, like we do. That's what's up. Yeah, I feel like when you put it under the tree before, it's torture. Like I'll be sitting there trying to shake the presents and trying to have them see them trying to figure out what the presents are. So, ooh. Can we come in your suitcase? We are going to be in Hawaii for Christmas, so I'm not
Uh,
even sure
they
when
cri-
they're going to get the bulk of their gifts.
they
Probably when they get
Christmas
home.
gift is Hawaii.
Hawaii. Be like,
Yeah,
surprise.
Merry Christmas. Hawaii
Oh
expensive.
my gosh, girl. Put me somewhere inside of your luggage, please. Christmas Eve, nosy kids and a little dog that passes on everything. Oh my gosh. See, YouTube can teach you how to wrap gifts.
I ain't got no time for that.
He needs to learn because, yo, his presents, his gift wrapping be like
Just roll it up and tape it up. You be
mad
doing.
tape. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's awful. But I don't mind it. I'm not the greatest. I just get it done. But at the same time, sometimes I'm rapping. I'm just like, what am I doing all this work for?
The
It's about to be ripped off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I be in my feelings.
Man, you remember when the girls didn't play with the actual gift? They played with the paper
And the boxes.
and the
I'm like, this
boxes.
is for the birds. All this money spent, and they straight focusing on Christmas wrapping. But yeah, all right, guys. So we said we're only on for an hour, just for an hour. I promised. And so,
I like that idea. Put them in bags.
nah, I'm putting them in bags.
That'd
I like to see the wrapped presents underneath the tree. There's
All
something
right.
about wrapped presents under a tree with Christmas music going. Wrapping is a gift of the spirit.
It is. I don't have the.
Oh
I don't think I have the
gosh.
patience for it. That's why.
But when it's done right, it looks so
It
beautiful.
is beautiful, but I don't got the patience. We'll go down to the Hallmark store and let them do it.
You know how expensive that is? That's a lot of money.
That's why I say put it in a bag or just give it to them like, yo, here's a gift.
That's terrible. That won't happen. I don't mind wrapping. But moving on to it's something that we thought about and we're just like, should we address it or should we kind of just keep it going, keep it moving, and just kind of, let it just fade off.
Let it go.
But we were just like, I think it's important to address things that are happening in our church or even outside of our church. And so I know that most of you, if not all of you, have been aware of what has been happening, what happened recently with the pastor from Greater New York Conference who went on, I don't even know how to term it.
He was preaching. He was building his case for his sermon about wives submit themselves to their husband. And as he progressed, he started talking about, I'm sure everybody here knows about it. As he
Right.
progressed, he talked about this court case where the wife was suing the husband for rape. And I think he said the best person to rape is your wife. All right. I mean, I saw some people on the internet saying that he made a mistake and coming to his defense. And I think those are the things that are problematic about our church.
Facts.
Or problematic, just not even just our church, but just problematic in our society. Like, I don't think he made a mistake. I think he was taking his time, because usually for me when I'm preaching and there's something that I say, and when it comes out of my mouth, that if I know that it's incorrect or I know that, wait a minute, that's wrong, immediately I would correct myself and be like, you know what, that's not what I meant, right? But he did not appear to do that or even acknowledge the fact that what he said was problematic, right? Like, what he said could have been an issue, and like how he was building the case to go there, right? It wasn't like, it didn't seem like it was something that was left field. It seemed like it was part of where he was going. Nevertheless, to say words like that, it's just, it's so egregious, right? There's no explanation for it, that the word rape should never be a part of any vocabulary unless you're condemning it or you're speaking. Because his words we're clearly making it seem like it is okay to rape your wife.
Mm,
The best, he was like the best
the
person.
best way. The best
It's
person.
always like, if you gonna rape, make sure
Right.
if you go rape your wife, and which goes
God
into
have
that
mercy.
whole, the whole misunderstanding of the text, submit your wives, submit yourself to your husbands, that whole dominance and power and control, and wives not being property, not people. So I mean, that was just terrible. And then the other thing too that stood out to me was that the whistleblower, if that didn't get on the internet,
Right.
then I don't know if there would have been a
Right.
reaction or an
Right.
apology
Right.
or a resignation,
Right.
right? And that's also problematic too. It's like, yo, I know if I said something crazy like that and I come home, immediately Carlene's gonna check me
Mm-hmm.
if she's not at the church with me or if we're in the
Mm-hmm.
car.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, there are gonna be members that will check me real quick, and then I would acknowledge it and then have to get up immediately and be like, look, if my words offended anyone, that's not what I meant, right? And then just apologize for
Right.
it and apologize and then move forward. But it just seems like that apology came as a result of the exposure
Exactly.
and everybody saying like, yo, this is reckless.
Because if it was, I believe if there was a true intent and he was truly apologetic, then it should have come the moment that he stepped down off the pulpit. The following week, right?
Right.
He should have he should have apologized, but he didn't. This happened 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So there was, I believe, if he could stand on there and stand up on that pulpit and boldly say what he said, then you know that he doesn't find a problem with it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But I just feel like, I mean, there's just so much to say.
Yeah.
There's just so much to say.
Right. And I feel like also, so, and people are correct, resignation is different from being fired. And so I was explaining that there's grace in being fired, right? But I also think that, by just firing him or just making him resign does not address the other glaring concerns that we have in our church, right? In regard to how we treat women, right? In regard to how we acknowledge them, how we respect them, how we utilize them, right? So there's also that whole issue of women's ordination, right? That whole issue of you indirectly abuse the women in ministry to make them meet the same goals, to make them meet the same tithe reports, all of that stuff, but yet still you won't give them the same title as a man, right? And then we talk about all the other women that wanted to be pastors, but because they were told that they can't be pastors, so they end up being Bible workers, right? Working alongside the pastor, the evangelist, and getting souls for the kingdom. Like, honestly, a lot of these evangelists that are known for baptizing hundreds and thousands. Man, it's women that are part of that crew that are doing the Bible work and the Bible study that are leading people to those pools to get baptized. So it's not just that. So like even this guy, this pastor, there's no sensitivity training
Right.
for us.
Right.
There's no diversity and inclusion training for
Right.
us. There's no mandatory health and wellness check-ins for us in regard to how we treat women in the workplace and ourselves and all that other stuff. There's none of that, right? And so I think those are some, and I think that if we don't start doing that, that you're going to continue to hear more comments like that because he just got caught,
Right.
right? He got
This
caught
time.
this time. But I'm just talking about the culture that is within our church. It's a culture that just really just treats women like second class citizens.
Yeah. Facts. But just the fact that this man, according to what Tiffany said, that the following week it said that the devil is using those who did not agree with his message. And the fact that there were people sitting under the sound of his voice and listening to what it is that he was saying and no one said anything. This
Right.
complacent,
Yeah, they probably said something to each other like, "Oh, can you believe what he said?" But they would have gone back next week, right? So I
right?
don't know who the whistleblower was, but yo, props to that whistleblower for putting that video out there and for highlighting the culture that the women within our church has to sit under or be subjected to. Because I can't imagine, and I'm even gonna throw myself in there. I can't imagine if there's any time when if there was ever a time where I said something that was triggering or
Mm,
something that was, that I don't think I've ever said anything that egregious. I think I would have probably been called out. But anything that I could have said that's triggering, like I even think about, like when I'm preaching and making an appeal and you know, being careful with my words to say your father is calling you, your dad is calling you, right? He wants to hold you in his arms and wrap you up and
mm,
love you. Yo, that can be triggering to somebody who has lived a life
mm.
of abuse from their father, right?
Mercy,
And to
Jesus.
hear that. So I'm trying to be very
Mm,
mindful when I'm on that pulpit of like what words I say, how I'm making an
mm,
appeal, and who I'm calling people to, because we just we just don't we don't really mental trauma or abuse or anything like that. Those things are like far removed from who we are as a church. But it's I think it's bad that it's far
mm-hmm.
removed, because if there's anybody who's dealing with a lot of mental trauma and stress, is the African American, West Indian, black people. I don't know how I probably didn't end that sentence correctly, but y'all get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's just crazy, that thinking, that mindset of for so long women, right? This misogyny has
Hmm.
lived for so long, and I feel like there are some women who are currently living in that mess. That's the part that I feel like I could burst out in tears right now. That there are actually women in our congregations, in our neighbors, that are dealing with that kind of mentality where the man feels as though she is his property, where she feels as though she doesn't have a voice, um, she doesn't have an identity, right? Um, and the fact that this man gets on there and almost seems as though he's probably like encouraging those other men, right, who feels that it's okay. And for some women too who probably have fall into that, oh yeah, it's okay for that to happen to another woman. Like I mean, I don't
Yo, his thinking is so archaic,
yo,
where he in his brain he thinks that a wife cannot be raped,
my God.
right? That it's so archaic to think that a wife cannot be
Wow.
raped. Yeah, that's crazy that
Look at
there's
this.
for his supporters to reinstate him and defending his statements. Oh my goodness.
Show
That
like
let me tell you, that thing ain't gonna so
that's
so I'm gonna say this on this. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna say this is why, and we need to acknowledge it. This is why people are leaving this church.
mm,
This is why. This is a perfect example. And my boy Theo pointed it out to me again this week, but he always says that this church has failed to realize from that moment when they took that women's ordination vote to not ordain women was like the straw, or was like the beginning of the crack in the ceiling, right? It was the beginning of the glass breaking. And so everything that you're seeing from now, this church is losing members. And I don't even know, like, they're not losing members. I don't think people are taking their names off the books as to say like I don't want to be an Adventist. But I think what's happening is people are just not showing up and not showing out, and they're disassociating themselves from this church, and they're just doing their own thing. But I think they'll probably still keep it so it'll look like you have a lot of members on the
but
paper, but physically, and especially with things like this, when you don't address things quickly and correctly,
right.
people are becoming apathetic towards the organization.
Yeah, because in moments like these, this is when you feel like you need to have the organization that you have financially supported,
Yep.
right? The organization that you have, you know, where it's created that foundation for you as a adult. And so here, the the gall, right, of something like this happening. It's not like one of those things where it's he's like a he said she said kind of thing, like how it was back in the day. Well, did you hear? You know, but this is actual evidence, right, that someone has on their phone, that someone that can see on social media of this very same thing happening. And I mean, I don't know what it means to be a leader in that in the what you call it, the ceiling, or what you call it, the
Balcony.
balcony. But at the same time, I feel like in cases like this, unfortunately, you probably have to make him a example, right? An example so that stuff like this won't keep happening. But the fact their initial response, even how they termed our friend Golda, she kind of brought it to light. Even how they wrote the letter,
Oh yeah.
that the letter honestly should have said first what they said at the end, right?
Right.
About love, about this is what the church stands for. But it should not have come with that statement of,
Yeah. Because you don't have a publicist, you don't have somebody, we don't have people doing HR. We did, like, we give that title to like various people doing it, and so they don't have things like that. And when you have a bunch of men, it's another problem. When you have men sitting at a table crafting statements like that, it's obviously going to come out that way because they'll diminish the most important parts, and then they'll jump out first to defend themselves in the organization. Because when you how that letter is constructed, it's like defending the organization, and then it's talking about we commit to love. No, you commit to love and all that other stuff. Defend the individuals, and then in by turn defend your organization. But those things are problematic. So what's happening is you'll always find people will be attached to their pastor, right? They'll be attached to whomever is their leader. But when it comes to beyond the pastor and the organization and all that stuff, there is a detachment that is happening because the organization doesn't seem to be interested in the things that the people care about. Right? They only care, it appears that they only care about preserving themselves, preserving the institution, doing what is normally done, but not actually saying, let's look at a way that we can address misogyny within the church. Let's look at a way that we can correct racism within the church. Let's look at a way that we can correct how we approach communities and people. But it just seems like keep on doing the same old thing that you're doing. We'll just put out a little letter, get them to resign, push it to the back, but let's continue business as usual. And people don't have time for that anymore. At least that's my opinion. I don't think that's everyone's opinion. You're clearly free to disagree with me, but there is a detachment that is developing with the organization clearly, and they can't see that. Then they need to come off the balcony and come down on the dance floor.
Tiffany says, it feels like pastors and leaders don't want to touch this.
Of course.
We have not seen official statements on letterheads signed by conference officials or nothing. Why all this avoidance?
You need a check.
Wow.
You need a check, right? So, at the end of the day, you're not willing to step out and be brave and be bold and to say something like that. There's no, but and then also too, right? It's a bunch of men that are sitting there, and sometimes men think with implicit bias or they don't see the elephant in the room. And when you're on the balcony, like I always use that analogy, you really don't know what's happening on the dance floor. And so you think that as long as the music is playing, everything is fine. And it takes a lot to come off the balcony, to be on the dance floor, to be like, yo, it's a different perspective from here. Because all of us here, we are on the dance floor and we're looking up at the balcony. Like, why are y'all so complacent? Or why are y'all so disillusioned? Like, why are y'all staying up on the balcony, right? We need you to come down here and be on the dance floor. And pastors have been yelling that for a long time. Like, look, the way you manage resources and do stuff, right? But the balcony is just sitting up there, just looking down and just like, hey, Just make sure you keep on doing what you're doing.
But what do you think in a case like this, where there's nothing to decipher, there's nothing to sit and say, okay, maybe he meant it this way, maybe it could have gone this way, or maybe, like, I'm just trying to understand, like, how is it possible that someone could defend that or
Yeah.
not see the urgency in nipping things like this in the bud, right? These are the silent things that have been going on inside of our churches, inside of our homes, and no one is saying anything about it. No one is talking about it. So it's almost like, do we expect for it to go away, to disappear?
No.
Is he expecting that somehow, some way this will kind of blow over and he can be reinstated? Like,
Well,
this,
yeah, go ahead.
when you, if this was if you were in the workforce, right, in corporate America, you would have been fired on the spot.
Right.
So it's almost like, why? Because we're Christians.
Basically,
It's in a religion, like, that's when it's okay. Because for a moment, let's talk about grace. Like, people are like, let's show grace. So how do you think grace can still be shown and still reap the consequences or the repercussions of?
There are lots of biblical examples of justice and grace, right? So Moses struck the rock. What was his punishment? He could not enter into the promised land, right? He could not take them in. That thing for 40 years, nights and days, Moses wanted that. And God was like, no, because you have done something that I told you not to do, right? So I think that there's grace and compassion in we're letting you go. But I also find that there's also correction that needs to be done, right? And that correction is you're going to sit through some mandatory sensitivity trainings. You need to step away from the pulpit and that you need to do X, Y, Z, right? There's grace in that. But here's what's interesting to me is that there's a petition going around to get him reinstated. There are people who are like, where's the compassion and the grace? I want to first acknowledge this. This Pastor Robinson, I think that's his name, he is in no way a victim. He has not been victimized by anybody. He is not a victim, right? And even after what he said, he is still not a victim. There is no petitions, or there are no rally calls for those that have been triggered by words like that, right? Like, so I'm expecting for the church or for that conference or for the organization. I always say the GC is like the Supreme Court. It's like they don't touch anything until it gets all the way up to them, and then that's when they make a statement. But this is behavior that's probably happening within our pews. And for what that man said could have triggered some woman or some, not even a woman, some man, right? Or any individual in regards to rape and to abuse and incest. But how do we create systems or create opportunities for people to be comfortable enough to talk to someone through that, right? Where is that 1-800 number where you have these Adventist counselors that are ready to pick up the phone and to ready to talk somebody off a ledge, right? Where are those safe spaces and those places so that people can go to? It's like we just automatically ran to defend and said, where's compassion and grace? I'm thinking about not just the people that were in those pews, but who was watching online, who was living with their rapists, right?
Mercy.
And where's the outlet for that, right? Where's the resources and the dollars to say, hey, we need to think beyond this moment. And this was a prime opportunity for us to do what we're supposed to do for the people of God. For restoration, for rebuilding, for redemption, and all those sorts of things. So, and that's probably when you don't have the right people sitting on the balcony or at the table. You're not going to think like that. And I don't know, maybe they are thinking like that. It just hasn't come out as yet. But that's what your letter, your statement is supposed to have in there. That we are going to make every effort possible for restoration, for rebuilding, and for those victims of rape that we know is present within our church,
Yeah.
that we know is present within our pews, to all the wives, the husbands, the sons, the daughters that are dealing with this, we do apologize for this man's statement, but not just an apology. We want to take it further than just with words on a piece of paper.
Because that's not enough. It's not enough because
No.
people are still very much living in that reality.
No, it's definitely the not, I want to say the Caribbean way, but definitely the unhealthy way of dealing with rape. Get over it, move on. I've heard worse things said. Let's keep on moving forward.
Wow. Like I'm in disbelief, honestly. I feel like I'm in a moments of disbelief and shock that something like that would be said, spoken in such a bold way,
Yeah.
without recourse.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like there was a, for years we've been going back and forth. We've been hearing about this topic of submission to wives submit to your husbands, and what does that look like? What does that look like in a marriage? And growing up in this church, submission, how they were talking submission, it seemed very negative, right? It seemed like the wife has to submit everything that she has to this man, basically to his beck and
Right.
call, right? And so he has, I don't even know what to say
Well,
again. Like, 'cause
and-
my brain right now is like,
Yeah, and it's incorrect interpretation because his statement had nothing to do with that text, right? And so when you talk about wives submit themselves to their husbands, there's so many things. First of all, the only way that it was using like that image of a king and its citizens, right? And the only way that you would submit yourself to the king was because you knew that king would die for you.
first of all, Kendra, snaps to you, girl.
Right.
Sorry.
Right, because you knew that that king would die for you. You know that king would, in the same way that husbands love your wife, the same way Christ loved the
Right.
church.
But everyone misses that one, right?
Right.
He didn't even make mention of that in his sermon.
Right.
Like, he just went straight to wives, submit yourselves to your husband.
Right, and so like a citizen would have no problem submitting to the king because they knew the king was going to protect them,
Had their best interests at
had
heart.
their best interests at heart, would never rape them, and that the king would do everything for them, which is much as to go as far as to die for them, the same way Christ died for the church. The other thing that's also problematic, we no longer live under a theocracy or under the same kind of government or society of when the Bible was written. Women work today. Women have rights. Women can vote, right? Like there's far advancements in regards to women in the workplace, to women in society. Even the dynamic of husband and wife and gender roles has changed, right? There's some things that I do that I'm sure men back in the, 1300s or 1800s would look at me and say, "What are you doing laundry?" Right? Or there's some things that you do that some women would look at you and be like, "Why are you doing that?" So like that. So things have changed. So you also have to know how to contextualize scripture to make it applicable to today. And so that whole idea of submit, first of all, that word submit is problematic in how you use it, right? Because it's always preached in the sense of dominance,
Right.
control,
Ownership, property.
and it wasn't even biblically written like that. It wasn't even be to express, like, how can this God, this loving God who created us, who created the institution of marriage, be okay with your wife being like an animal
Right.
that you train, that you submit? No, it's crazy, right? And so I think when you have that wrong theological foundation, and not only theological foundation, cultural foundation, and you start superimposing that on the text and preaching it, then obviously you're going to think that submit means You supposed to do whatever I want you to do, and when
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to have sex, you need to lay down, open up your legs, because this is what I want right now.
Mercy.
And if you don't want to give it to me, I'm going to take it from you, because
Jesus.
you can't claim that I raped you because I'm your husband.
Mm, 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 mm,
Yeah, there's nowhere in the Bible that promotes
mm,
that. There's nowhere in the Bible that
mm,
supports that. Then and who would want to serve a God that says it's okay to treat a human like their property,
mm,
like they're your slave?
mm,
He had might as well had preached, slaves obey your master.
mm.
He had might as well supported the theology that says black people should be slaves and they should submit to their masters and do whatever their master wants them to do. I mean, that's basically within the same thread of
Mm-hmm.
his comments when he preached.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anybody who went through that that trauma.
Mm,
Oh man,
mm.
yeah.
That's I don't even have words, honestly, because just the thought that that's someone's reality.
Yeah. I was like, did anybody check on his wife? Anybody doing some wellness help? But I mean, I assume she's probably standing by him, or I hope that she corrected him. I know you would slap me upside my head if I
Listen,
came
I
with
don't
that.
even think you would even you would step foot in this house, honestly, in that, like, yeah, that's a hard no, like the hardest no that you've ever had or heard. There's no, there's no, yeah,
First,
that,
first of all, you should be able to read the room too, right? Like when you
yeah,
say
but
something,
that's,
you got to be able to be like, oh, okay, I just messed up.
no, he didn't read the room because he was over here calling almost like my name, Carlene or whoever. Like, it seems like he was like trying to be like having that person almost like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
go along with what it was that he was saying. I mean, I don't know if I heard amens or whatnot, but um, I just I don't even have words, honestly. I keep saying it because I feel like it's to my core. It makes me sick because I can't imagine what other women are feeling or felt.
Yeah, and don't just limit it to women, then men too that are victims of abuse, sexual abuse.
That's
They're
true. And I don't want to negate that, but I feel like historically, for far so long, women have, and I'm not saying men haven't been, but I feel like women have been, the numbers have been leading,
yeah,
right? With women and being abused
right.
than men, right? So I'm not dismissing the fact that there are men who may have who may have experienced that, but for the the mass amount of women who have had to endure that and still is enduring that at this moment makes
Mm-hmm.
me sick to my stomach. And shout out to the person that posted that video. Shout out to the many women and men who have, kind of championed and basically spoke up about it. I know that everyone is saying like we're all the other leaders in that conference, or we're the other leaders to kind of put out a statement in solidarity of women. um, and that's the unfortunate part,
Yeah,
right? Because we're
and
always looking for our leaders to step up, step out, and call a spade a spade.
yeah,
But the silence is deafening.
and it's important for us as pastors to have those sensitivity trainings, have those sexual harassment trainings, because we do stand in a place of authority, and the church is predominantly made up of women, right? So we have to be conscious and mindful of what we say behind the pulpit, how we interact with the opposite sex, and just just all of those things, to be conscious of who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. So I think those things are important. They should be mandatory for us, that we shouldn't just take it for granted, and to assume that everybody knows what's proper from what's improper. And then the other thing that I was saying, that when he first said that, why also his words were so problematic, because I don't know how the law works, and I don't know if it can even go this far. But if there is somebody who is in that congregation, because pastors, we are an authoritative figure when we're behind that pulpit. We speak um, from the place of, when our members look at us, they say, "This is God speaking through you," and those words to say. And so if somebody is in that congregation and they're listening to him say that, they may very well go home with that mentality or with that thinking, to be like, the pastor said this. And then it also to conditions maybe a woman's mind to believe that that is okay as well. Because here is the man of God. I believe that he was with the Lord all through the week, and the Spirit speaks to him in a different way that the Spirit speaks to me. And so if the pastor is saying that, and I don't, and I'm not going to say I don't think people are that naive or gullible anymore, but you never know.
They are.
That
Let's call it what it is.
you just saying that from the pulpit, it's almost like you can even give somebody license to go ahead and do that. Like that's something, like they tell us all the time not to give medical advice, or we don't, unless you're a trained counselor. Like, you need to let them know that we can talk, I can consult with you, but I'm not going to be your counselor, right? Because what we say, because we have a place of authority, we can be held liable for that. So I was even thinking about those instances, or that instance, that in that moment, that if somebody's listening, they're like, "Yo, my pastor said this," or to a woman who's like a husband or whatever, any kind of relationship, that the conditioning that happens within the brain of hearing something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Other organizations, other corporations have trainings.
Yeah, everywhere you go, you have to sit down and do that kind of training.
If they don't see the need for it now, then I don't know, man. I don't know, man, because it's high time that people just don't get up and say whatever they want to say. In
Yeah.
that, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, you can't do that. That's not
Yeah,
okay.
I think it should be mandatory. I mean, as much as we may not like it or whatever, it's still, because it's like a. I mean, just think, like, if someone decides to sue, right? They're not gonna sue the church. They're not gonna sue City Temple SDA. That lawyer is going to sue the conference, because they're gonna go for who has the biggest check, who has the biggest bank account, and then from the conference they're gonna go higher and higher and higher. And I think that, I would assume that in those reports, or in that, whatever, how the case is being built, somebody's probably gonna ask the question: how many trainings, or when have you put your pastors through these exercises? And to someone who's gonna be like, we haven't, then I'm sure that there will be a lawyer who can find a way to build the case to be like, "Oh, we're gonna come after y'all. We're gonna come after that," because they're probably gonna say that they were complicit in creating a culture that says to dominate and control women. That's your employee. So I understand why they had to make old boy go away, because he is a straight up liability at this point. He is straight up liability. And that thing is on the internet, and it ain't never coming back. But I'm no lawyer. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. But I can see where the liability can come in regard to us and what we do. Because even still, like, we're not allowed to call, like they've told us many times, where you'll have like an elder who's doing pastoral stuff, and they'll tell us to make sure that the members know, do not call that elder a pastor, because, or a pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Because if something happens and that elder does something, and that person says the pastor did that, they're gonna look around and be like, "Oh, wait a minute, he's not working for us, but he's called a pastor." So there's some legalities and nuances in there that you have to be very mindful and very careful about when communicating and doing things with people, especially now that we're on the internet.
Hmm.
It's a whole other ball game.
It really is. I'm thankful for the internet. I really am. If we didn't have the internet, then we would not have been privy to this information, to this video. And um, I really am at a loss of words, Jamie, because I messed up like that. When I heard it, I was just like, yo, this can't be real. I'm watching something that's not real. Gianna says, but he's been a liability from when he was in Florida, where does the background checks comes in.
Yeah.
You know what organization it is that we're
And Marvin said it. My old
mm,
boy Caribbean Club needs to be dismantled. It's a whole bunch of cronyism, and it's just import and export and all of that stuff.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um, Someone said something. I'm trying to read it before you can keep talking while I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Export, import, all part of the port, but it needs to be broken up. And I think I hope that this nah, I hope that it does, but I'm not holding my breath that it will force us to change collectively as an entire organization here in North America. But I think, man, as long as the institution is, well, I'll say this: as long as the music keeps on playing, the balcony will not be forced to
Mm,
do anything different.
mm,
As long as everything keeps on going the way it does, the balcony is not going to do anything. When that music stops playing,
mm.
then the balcony is going to be like, okay, what's going on? We need to do something. But it might be too little too late.
The lives. That's what I think about. The lives that have been affected as a result of the silence or as a result of this encouragement. I think that's the piece that's unfortunate. And it also speaks to the fact that, I know I used to hear it all the time, and I can't believe I'm saying it because I sound like mad old. But like when I remember my mother telling me, like, you really can't look to people. Like you can't really have your faith, find your faith in people and in organizations and religion. You have to really legit find it in God and God alone. Because you would think that as a minister, but honestly, let me not say that. Um, let me not say that. But what I would say is that I hope that for those individuals, those victims, that um, they will find healing. They will find healing and a space, a safe space to be able to express, um, their trauma. And because I just think about the victims of those individuals. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's where we should shift our attention and our focus on the individuals, the victims, the suffering saints that are amongst us,
Mm-hmm.
and really create those safe spaces and places for them to anonymously come forward and to just share and to talk and not begin to become so dismissive
Mm.
when we hear something we may not like,
Mm.
to just do the good old way of just like, you know, whatever, and just focus on and making people, trying to make someone a victim when they're not, and ignoring the actual victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing we do with society, with Black Lives Matter. You know, we blame the rioting and looting on these, on the protesters, but we never look at the rioting and the looting that comes from the policies that are implemented that
Mm.
create injustice, right?
Mm.
That create these kind of reactions to not being heard. So we always find a way to dismiss those that are really hurt and find a way to put our foot on their necks, but then shift it. But we really need to take the time to lament, to mourn with those that are hurt, and then seek ways to find um, repair and to find justice. So,
Yes. Yes, I see you guys in the comments section. Um, yeah, yeah. But they say every dog has a day, but things will have to change.
and
And
it's gonna be forced to change. I'm telling, and I'm, I hope I'm wrong, but from what I've been observing,
it's going to get worse.
it's gonna get worse, and it's gonna be interesting in these days ahead. I think that what has been happening within the church um, has begun before COVID, but I think COVID just peeled the Band-Aid back. Like from, and it was like a series of events from that, from when Ted Wilson got up and talked about music in the church, and GC is going to screen the music that's played there, and please no clapping, amen would be suffice. That was that was one little straw. Then we came to the women's ordination thing for years, that they have been studying that and talking about that. And when they took that official vote, that was another straw.
But I think it came before then.
Right. I think it's, yeah, I'm
It,
just calling out events that I know in my brain. I think it's been happening.
yeah, but I feel like it really started happening when, was it Trayvon
Right.
Martin?
I was getting to that. Yeah, the women's then Trayvon Martin, and then all those black lives that started dying, and people were woke, and people are like looking at this church, and what are you gonna say? Boom! All of those straws that are bringing cows back is getting people more and more apathetic towards this whole institution, and then now with this, and it's almost like, yo, y'all ain't serious. The whole thing with Andrews University, right? That was like a kind of like a pivot turn, but then it still kept on going in a different direction. But I think that North American vote, and I agree with Theophil Samuel, smartest man on earth. I agree with him. I think that was the beginning of the end, or the beginning of the line separating, right? The disassociation, the disgruntledness with the organization from the dance floor and what the balcony was doing, that there's been a shift.
It is a shift.
It's a very much shift. It's a shift.
It's
And
and it keeps shifting.
yep.
Right.
And the one thing you can't beat is the internet. You can't beat the internet. And the access to knowledge and information and the people sharing their stories, ain't no way you could get in front of the internet.
You were right about that.
Yep.
Because before, you can only go by he say, she say, right?
Yep.
If you were there, you were there. Like if this happened, say 13 years ago. No, let's go before that. 20 years ago. If this happened 20 years ago, we would not have we probably would have heard it, but have been one of those things like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I
Yeah.
can't believe that happened, right?
It would have been just a local church problem.
Right.
It wouldn't have gotten this far, and it probably would have been like, "Hey, don't say that again." But now with the internet and
Yeah.
streaming,
Yeah.
this church not only has like a few hundred people watching, it has a world audience now,
Yeah.
and you can't come up with a statement quick enough to beat the internet. You can't beat the internet. You have to be proactive
Yeah.
and not reactive. You have to be at the place where we are going to be proactive so that this does not happen again. But you're going to keep on being reactive. You can't compete with the internet. And I think that's where the church has not grown, in the place where how the internet is just like this information superhighway that all somebody got to do is upload, put it on the internet, and that's it.
It's over.
And so you're gonna have everybody coming down your neck. So even like the theology and all of that stuff can't compete. Internet is undefeated and
It
will
really is.
continue to be undefeated.
It really is. It really is undefeated. That information travels really quickly, and it's almost like if you're not careful, like you get yourself out there too. Like you really have to be mindful of it. I mean, I just feel that it's unfortunate, period. All of this is unfortunate. And I just hope that this will be a do better
Yep.
kind of experience. Like, let's do better. Let's be better. Let's hold our leaders accountable.
Yeah.
Let's let them know.
Yep. Do better and keep on speaking up. I think what was so I guess so powerful about this moment was that it got on the internet and we didn't just brush it to the side. That people rallied and rose up and said
Signed petitions.
that is unacceptable. That is not right. You should never be able to be. We can't trust you with a microphone in front of people, particularly too as people are saying that there have been egregious acts from him before. But no, this needs to stop.
Yeah, yeah, and prayerfully it does, and hopefully, I have nothing else to say. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say because it is just one of those things where you just.
It is what it is, but we want to make sure that it isn't anymore.
Like, no one else has to experience this, or no one should be forced to experience what. And this is traumatizing for us too. You know, like time after time where you just like let down by an organization and stuff like that.
Right.
It's kind of
Right.
traumatic in that way, right? Like, how many more
Right.
times do we need to be disappointed?
And it's gonna get to the point where it's like white supremacy is created to make you tired. It's gonna get to the point where we become numb to it, and we just disassociate ourselves with it. Right? It's like, I don't care about GC. I don't care about North American Division. Just let me go to my little church. Let me put my worship in, and I'm gonna go back home. Just give me a good word, some music, and I'm gone. But all that other stuff on top, I don't know what y'all do. I don't know who you are. Don't invite me to your GC, wherever it's gonna be. I ain't going to that. I'm just go to my little church events and serve my community.
Yeah, but when you're giving money to it.
Well, what they're gonna do is stop giving tithe, and they're gonna stop giving the tithe to the church.
Local.
Yeah, local. They're not gonna give it to the conference. They're gonna put it in their church building.
Because that's where they see it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, folks, we said an hour, and it's been an hour and almost 20 minutes.
Yes, we appreciate you. We love you, but we gotta make moves, if you know what I'm saying, because we stay moving, never stagnant. Facts, right?
Yes, facts.
Exactly.
Facts. But we will continue to keep all affected in our prayers, and all that have been triggered in our prayers, and just hoping that that you all be well on this upcoming week. That you be well. We're going into December, the very last month of the year.
What a year.
2021.
Man.
2021, we thought that COVID would be over. We thought, at least I thought that, we'll be in a far better place in terms of our church, where we are. So many different expectations, but the reality is where we are right now.
We are where we are.
And so for this upcoming year, I can't believe it, 2022 is literally upon us. So make it, I guess, I don't know.
Just make it.
Just make it. It's
Just
true.
Make it.
Just make it.
Just make it. And we'll celebrate when we cross over the finish line.
Amen. Amen. So this is Carlene.
And this is Jaime.
Peace.
Peace.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.